Hi everybody, today we're talking about 5 habits that the INFJ personality type and autistic INFJ needs to stop if they want to find their best life full of meaning and purpose. Plus, for each of those 5 habits, I'm going to share a tip on how to stop them. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name's Trina, I'm an INFJ and I'm also autistic. I created this channel with hopes of helping other people like myself feel seen, heard, understood, and less alone, because that would have made a huge difference for me years ago. Plus, I wanted somewhere I could share resources, things that have helped me. I wanted to share with other people like myself because I know that they can help. And I know it can be very difficult to find resources that actually work for INFJs and autistic INFJs. So I created this channel with hopes of doing all of that. So welcome to my channel. I hope you find it helpful. If you're returning, I'm glad you came back. I'm grateful for all my viewers. So grateful for you. I also invite you to, if you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel and like this video. I would really appreciate the support. And I also want to remind you before we get going that there is still time to register for November's INFJ Connection Circle. We meet once a week for the entire month of November and talk about INFJ life. So if you have been struggling meeting other people like yourself, that was me. I thought I was the only one on earth. There's a place where we can go and connect with each other and just talk about INFJ life. If you want more information, follow the link that I put in the description below. All right, so let's get into talking about habits. I love talking about habits because so often we will adopt habits that we don't realize have negative impacts on our life. I mean, some of the habits that we have, we do realize they're negatively impacting our life, but others we don't realize that we even do it, and we don't realize it's holding us back. It's what's stopping us from creating that life that we desire, full of meaning and purpose. I mean, I've talked to so many INFJs, and the biggest part of us as INFJs, our want, our desire is to just have a life full of meaning and purpose. That's what we truly desire. And from working with my coaching clients and also doing so much work on myself, I've seen patterns. I've noticed patterns that are habits that we do, and we become our own worst enemy. So that's what I wanted to talk about, sharing 5 of them that I've noticed. I've noticed more, but I picked out 5 that I wanted to talk about today because I don't want to keep you too long. The first one that I've noticed, a habit that keeps an INFJ, an autistic INFJ, from living that life that they desire, is self-criticism and doubt. Let's face it, we are our own worst enemy. I can admit that I totally am. If I am not mindful of it, I was horrible to myself. INFJs, we tend to analyze every action and decision because that is how we understand it. That's how we understand it, but we will analyze it to the point where we're starting to self-sabotage. Now, if you're autistic INFJ, you do this to the extreme, probably more than the neurotypical INFJ. I really hate that name, neurotypical. We tend to analyze much deeper than the neurotypical INFJ to the point where we self-sabotage. So this will prevent us from stepping into opportunities that are for us, that are going to take us to our next level. And it will also stop us from taking action. So what do we do about this? How do we stop this self-criticism and doubt? This was a huge one for me as well. Ask yourself, would you say this to a friend? Okay. When you notice that you're doing it, and that's the key, we need to notice it. Ask yourself, would I say this to a friend? Would I have this, would I share this with my friend? Probably not. We like to lift people up and encourage people. We're probably not going to say to our friends what we're saying to ourselves, right? When we do this, it interrupts that harsh talk that we have going on inside our head. And it reinforces a gentler approach to self-evaluation. Self-evaluation isn't a bad thing unless we're doing it in a self-sabotaging way. Then it's a horrible thing. I evaluate myself all the time because that's what we do as an INFJ. However, I'm very mindful that it's not going into the self-sabotaging. So just ask yourself, would I say this to a friend? And if you wouldn't, then rephrase it. Don't say it to yourself. Number 2, this is one of my favorite ones. I could talk about this topic for a long time. Overthinking and rumination. We are so good at it. We are just amazing. Again, like I said earlier, we need to analyze situations to understand them. However, it does lead into criticizing ourselves, but it leads to excessive rumination when we overanalyze situations. We don't take action when we're ruminating, and we miss opportunities that were for us that would probably take us to that next level that we're looking for because we didn't notice them. We're stuck in our head. I don't know about you, but for me, I have been stuck in my head for days thinking about one specific situation, experience, or maybe maybe we did notice the opportunity and we sit and think about it. I've done this. An opportunity has come and something I'm really interested in, and I have overthought about it where I thought that I was just, thinking it through. I'm going to make the best decision, not realizing how much time passed, and I totally missed out on the opportunity. It flew right by me. So what do we do about this? This is my favorite technique I'm going to share with you, and it's really simple to do. So grab a timer. You can use the one on your phone, a piece of paper, and a pen. Set a timer and allow yourself to overthink. Don't write anything down yet. Just overthink. But only set the timer for like 10 minutes, 15 if you really want to overthink about it. Because again, we need to overthink. That's what we do. So set it 10, 15 minutes. Let yourself overthink. When that timer goes off, then I want you to reset the timer again for another 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever. And then I want you to write down. Take your pen and your paper, and I want you to write down all of your thoughts. Just brain dump everything you just thought about. And when the timer goes off, I want you to grab your piece of paper, scrunch it up, and throw it in the garbage, and then go and do something that you enjoy doing. This will distract our brain from ruminating, from overthinking, and it gets us doing things that we like to do so that we can have other thoughts. And it works really good until you can get a grasp on it and realize, you know what, I'm getting pulled into the overthinking and I'm going to go distract my brain. I don't have to do that anymore because I'm very mindful of overthinking, and I know I've paid attention to what it feels like in my body. So I know when I'm getting pulled into it, and I will just skip the brain dumping and I'll just go do something that I like to do. And that will distract. But I started doing it this way, and that led me to it. Number 3, neglecting self-care. And I know, before you roll your eyes, because I used to roll my eyes at this, self-care. I think it's overplayed on the internet. It's talked about far too much. And a lot of it, it is self-care that they talk about, but it doesn't pertain to INFJs. Self-care for INFJs is a little bit different because we tend to prioritize everyone else's needs over our own, and we completely lose ourselves so that we feel too exhausted to show up for ourselves. So we're not doing those things that are going to take us to that life that we desire. So what I suggest for this is take time to develop a self-care ritual that works for you. And I dive into this in my coaching programs, that self-care looks different for an INFJ. So it might simply be part of your ritual is working on saying no. That's self-care. Being able to say no and prioritize yourself is a part of self-care. That's a self-care ritual. So that could be as simple as that. Number 4, people pleasing. Were you a people pleaser? Totally was. And something I still work on. We love harmony. We like making those around us feel good because we know what they need, and we just like doing stuff for people. But we do it to the point where we'll compromise our own values and our needs, which will hinder personal growth and fulfillment. So what do we do about this? People pleasing is not good. It's a huge topic. That's just like the tip of the iceberg, what people pleasing does to us. It does not serve us in any way, shape, or form at all. So my top tip for this is practice assertive communication skills. What I mean by that, and it's a skill. So when I say skills, it's a skill. We need to practice it in order to get good at it. INFJs aren't naturally good at assertive communication, so it is something we need to practice and just baby step it. What I mean by that is we could say something like, I appreciate you thinking of me, but no thank you. Or they want you to do something and you can say, no thanks, it's not for me, but hey, thanks for, thinking of me. Or maybe it's the chatty neighbor. I'm just giving you guys some examples of assertive communication. A chatty neighbor that drives you up the wall. It would drive me up the wall. Every time they see you outside or getting in your car, they have to come and chat. That would drive me bonkers. And for assertive communication on that, we could just say, you know what? I'm kind of in a rush today. Could we take this conversation up maybe another day? So we're not completely blowing them off, but we're kind of saying like, hey, I'm kind of in a rush here. Let's go. So that's assertive communication in a nutshell. And practicing that will help with people pleasing. Number 5. This is a good one. This was me. Playing small to keep everybody else around you comfy. So we downplay INFJs and autistic INFJs. We tend to downplay our talents and our uniqueness because we're afraid we're going to stand out and make other people around us feel uncomfortable. And INFJs, if you were like me, like how I was a few years ago, I would say that I had no talents, that I was pretty much useless. If you would have asked me, that's probably my answer. I'm useless. I have no talents. I have nothing to give, which is wrong. I was so wrong. INFJs, we are some of the most talented people out there, but we downplay our talents, so we may not even realize that we have these talents. That was me. I didn't realize. And this will stop us from fully expressing ourselves, showing what we have to offer, and we'll miss opportunities that are for us, and it will stop us from taking action. If people cannot see what we have to offer, how are they going to present us with opportunities? If we do not take action on our own, how are we ever going to get anywhere? Just because we're scared of making those around us uncomfortable. What to do about this? This again is a big topic, but to start off with, and it takes a little bit of work, but we can do hard work and it will help, is look at your self-belief, because generally that's the key part to when we're playing small. Look at the self-belief. What beliefs do you have about yourself? Do you believe that people won't accept you if you actually show your true self? If this is kind of the belief you have going on when you start unpacking it, then I want you to ask yourself if that is true. Now I'm going to take this one step further. Just stick with me for a second on this, because I have been in a space, I have been on the dark side of being an INFJ, and years ago, if somebody would have said this to me, I would have said, I've got all of the, what is the word I'm looking for? Words are very hard. Evidence. That's the word I'm looking for. Evidence. I have all the evidence that I need to know that people are not going to accept me if I'm this way because of this experience, all these experiences in my past. Now, okay, those things happen. I'm not saying they didn't happen, because they truly did and they truly hurt, and that is for real. However, if we want to get over this and we want to get to that life that we truly desire, full of purpose and meaning, we need to allow those feelings to come. We need to heal from that pain. And then what we need to do, well, we don't have to do it and then, we can do this at the same time, is could we look at it differently? Could we look at, okay, those happened in the past, but that doesn't define my future outcome. So this time, is it possible that there's going to be a different outcome? And just, it's a simple way to look at it. It's not hard. It's not going to trigger the subconscious into saying, oh, but, well, you know what? It might actually trigger the subconscious into saying, oh, but look at what happened this past time, which is when you step up and you remind yourself, yes, that was a past experience that doesn't define my future. Could there be a different outcome? Eventually you will start believing, yeah, you know what, there could be a different outcome, okay? I want to leave you with one little piece of advice. It's one of my favorite pieces of advice that I've ever been given in life, because this was huge for me, is playing small to keep everyone comfy. So this piece of advice is everyone else's level of comfort is not your responsibility. Just let that sink in. I tell myself this all the time. In fact, if you look through some of my journals, I have it written on the top of the pages quite often because I love it, and it really hit home for me that everyone else's level of comfort isn't my responsibility, because I used to think that it was. I hope this was helpful for you. I truly do. Again, I invite you to subscribe to my channel, like this video. Feel free to share it. The more times it's shared, the more INFJs we get to help, and that's what it's all about. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you again in another video. Bye for now.